What is going on YouTube? Welcome back to Hot Take Tuesday. Episode 4 of Season 3 is officially here and we are ready to rock and roll. A couple of hot takes from our Discord server. If you are not in that Discord server, make sure you join it. It's a great way to become a part of the community. That Discord server is the backbone of this channel, of this, of the community. Great place to be. Great people, awesome community. Every single one of them in there. They're awesome. Awesome to talk football with. There's so many good things going on there. So make sure you join that Discord server. And the last Tuesday of every month for Hot Take Tuesday, really, we're posting on Wednesday now just because the schedule is wonky for me. We do a giveaway. So it's an opportunity to win some free money, to win maybe a hat or win maybe a shirt, a gift card, free stuff. Who doesn't like free stuff? So but you could join the Discord, and then when I ask for hot takes every Tuesday we do it, but the last Tuesday we do a giveaway every last Tuesday of the month. So make sure you join that Discord server, and you are automatically entered into every giveaway no matter what if you are a YouTube member. But you do not need to become a YouTube member to support the channel. You could always just like, subscribe, put that post notification bell on. It's a great way to support. Just stick around, and really that's all I can ask for. And join that Discord server. Great place to be. Great way to be involved in the community and what we have going on here. So enough jibby jabbering or whatever the heck you want to call it. Let's get into Hot Take Tuesday. So the first hot take we have for today is from Hopefulcoltsfan. Sam Darnold wins the MVP. I mean, man, if the season ended today, I'd say absolutely Sam Darnold is the MVP. He threw 3 touchdowns in the first half versus the Packers. I think he is leading the league in touchdowns. His passer rating is through the roof. His completion percentage is through the roof. And, before the season, I'm going, and I think a lot of people can agree with me here that we did not think the Vikings were going to be a good football team. I mean, I didn't think they had a great team. I knew they had a couple of really nice pieces. I knew they had an all right offensive line. I knew that they had some really good weapons, but that offensive line is awesome. Actually, it's not just all right; it's awesome. Awesome weapons. Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison's probably the best wide receiver 1 and 2 combination in the league. Definitely up there, if not the best. I mean, you look at the running game with Aaron Jones, that's electric. Don't forget, you got the big guy in TJ Hawkinson, great tight end. And, the defense, we're going to get to Sam Darnold in a minute, but the defense has just been lights out. Brian Flores, Coach Flo, has his defense flying around. They have them playing at such an elite and high level. It's absurd. Although the second half was a little different, was a little bit of a different story versus the Packers, but for the most part, this defense has been on a next level. Brian Flores confusing the offense and just playing, and he has a defense such discipline and so disciplined. It's impressive. But Sam Darnold winning MVP, I mean, can he do it all season long? That's the thing that's driving me crazy is we see some players just play so good the first couple weeks or first 2 to 5 weeks, up to 5 weeks, and then they just fall off a cliff. But for how good Sam Darnold is playing, he's not just playing good. He's not just playing very good. He's not just, surprising people. Well, he is surprising people, but he's not just playing good. Sam Darnold is playing, let me say it, elite football. What I've ever thought that I would be saying Sam Darnold would be an elite football player, he has been the last couple of weeks, and an MVP candidate in 2024. What is going on? Weird stuff. So, I mean, you look at other guys that are going to be in this MVP race, which is important when you're talking about if you think a player is going to win the MVP or not. I mean, of course, Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, and Allen, they're probably going to be in top there. Will Aaron Rodgers be close to the top there? Of course, you got so many other so many other really good players, but most likely it's going to be a quarterback. It usually always is a quarterback. So if Sam Darnold can continue to do this every single week the way he has played, he will absolutely. But will it last? Will his play last all season long? He just looked like such a bad quarterback in the beginning of his career. Maybe it just clicked. What do the Vikings do with J.J. McCarthy if Sam Darnold plays like this all season? You trade him? I mean, you're not going to start him over if Sam Darnold wins the MVP. You're not going to start, a quarterback over him. You're not going to start anybody over him. But Sam Darnold winning MVP is seeming a bit likely, but I mean, at the same time, there's a lot of season left, man. There's a lot of season left, and, maybe it just took, a change of scenery, go into a more stable franchise, a better franchise that, can hold coaches that can, just a better atmosphere. And then you look at the team that he has around him. He has time to throw the football. He has elite playmakers to throw the football too. He has a run game. He has a very good head coach, and and on top of that, Sam Darnold has a really good defense backing him. So, you probably have to make the playoffs too. The MVP usually makes the playoffs. Usually, but I mean, right now you look at it, and Sam Darnold is the leading candidate, is the leading MVP. He is the best player in the league so far this year. That is one of the best. And he would be right on top of the MVP conversation, right on top of the list. But given the other players that, the other top-notch elite players I mentioned, Josh Allen, Jackson, and Mahomes, does he win it over these guys? I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, Mahomes and the Chiefs' offense has been a little bit lackluster. I mean, Lamar Jackson really picked it up the last couple of weeks. Josh Allen was looking damn near incredible until versus the Ravens. He really had a bad night. I mean, that whole team had a bad night. The run defense, the weapons couldn't step up. No one stepped up versus the Ravens. But Sam Darnold winning MVP, he's got the weapons. He's got the run game. He's got the offensive line. He's got a really good head coach, a really good team around him in a really good situation, a really good franchise. It's just so hard to predict out that far, and especially looking at Sam Darnold before this year. It's like, how long is this gonna last? Is it okay, I'm here and I'm staying kind of thing with Sam Darnold? That's the thing that's driving me crazy. Is it taken, maybe once teams find a blueprint, like the Packers maybe have. Maybe once teams figure it out and they get a blueprint and they know how to limit Sam Darnold in this offense or finding his weaknesses in this offense and this and that. Maybe he won't go back to being like the old Sam Darnold that we know, like I'm seeing ghost kind of Sam Darnold, but maybe we go to seeing a good quarterback in Sam Darnold. But winning MVP, I'm going to say hot and say it's a bit unlikely, considering that it's still far away and you have so many other good players in there. Just looking at Sam Darnold's past, and I'm not trying to bring the past up. I'm not trying to be one of those people, be a Debbie Downer. It's awesome to see him play. I absolutely love it. It's cool. It's sweet. It's nice. But is it going to last? That is my biggest question. And Vikings fans, I know you guys are not happy with me right now. I've been picking against you guys almost every week, and it's just like, I feel like I'm waiting for the week for the Vikings just to have that week where it's like, okay, the Vikings were pretenders. Not that they're pretenders. I still think the Vikings are a much better football team than I thought coming into the season. I don't think they're going to go back down that they're going to go that low, but I'm not sure if they can do this all season long. If they do, wow. I'm eating crow already because, already really feeling it from Vikings fans, as I kind of deserve it. The Vikings and Sam Darnold have just been incredible, but I'm still going to go hot just because of the competition and in the MVP race, and I'm just not sure this is gonna go on all season long. It's it's one thing to play at a very high level the first couple weeks, and then you get you start getting to week 5, and 6 and 7, he keeps playing like that. It's like, okay, he's here for real maybe, but I want to see him do it all season long. You know what I'm saying? That's the bottom line. I want to see Sam Darnold do this all season long. Not sure if he could, but not going to say he can't until he proves me he can't. If that makes sense. But Sam Darnold winning MVP, I'm going to go hot and say it's a bit unlikely. Probably won't happen. But maybe as the season goes on, it will become more likely, just seeing if Sam Darnold is here to stay like this or not. But we'll see. So Sam Darnold winning MVP, I'm going to go hot for that take. All right. LCCJS 27, next hot take of the evening. The Saints beat the Chiefs this weekend. I mean, the Saints kind of fooled us, right? I mean, most people. The Saints did not fool me the first couple of weeks, okay? I knew that the Saints were an all right team coming into the year, okay? And the first 2 weeks, they played damn near perfect football. They were dominant on both sides of the ball. Derek Carr looked great. The O-line looked great. It's just every single place you could, wish to play as high level as you could, they were doing. They were playing at a high level in every single facet of football. The last couple of weeks, they've been sloppy. In that Falcons game, that game should not have been that close. The Saints should have won that game by probably at least 7 or more. But, very sloppy football the last 2 weeks versus the Eagles. You should have won that game. Very sloppy football game. And then you 2 games in a row you should have won, but you lost because of really sloppy football and just what is going on. But we always have the first couple weeks of the season just, a couple teams and players just showing out and playing at a very high level. As the season goes on, their true self starts to show. And I don't think the Saints are a bad football team. I still think they're a good football team. Obviously, they have the talent. It showed them the first couple weeks. But now the talent is struggling to keep it going at such a high level. You know what I mean? They're struggling. And I know, the Saints are a better football team than I thought they were. I thought they'd be okay. I thought they'd be good. But, but then you have the Chiefs, right? I mean, the Chiefs are another team that, they're a couple plays away from being 1-3, and they've been a little bit disappointing as well. They have a lot of injuries on offense, and I could see this game going either way, man. I could see it going either way, but I do think I don't even know who to pick for this game currently. So I pause it for one moment to go ahead and bring up, some injury news on both of these teams. Maybe that'll help me come up with a decision here, but Tyrann Mathieu is questionable. That's a big one. Taysom Hill is questionable. He's really big in the red zone. Willie Gay Jr., good linebacker. He is questionable. A.T. Perry's questionable. I think he's an underrated receiver. Cesar Ruiz, he is questionable. That's a big-time player. And Demarius Davis is questionable. So, and I know that Ryan Ramczyk is injured. He's not going to be playing this game. I think he's out for quite a while, actually, I heard. Or a couple weeks at least. But the Chiefs side, Rashee Rice, and then, of course, they have quite a few guys injured as well. Isaiah Pacheco, Hollywood Brown. They definitely have a couple of guys here on this injury list that are pretty big as well. But it seemed like the Saints were a little more beat up. But, at the end of the day, as I'm thinking about it more too, I'm just thinking that who are you going to trust more to win? If this is a close game, both teams are sloppy, who are you going to trust the most to come out on top here? Do I need to answer that question for you? I'm going to, it's Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to trust Patrick Mahomes, and I'm going to trust Andy Reid to dial up something important, the biggest moment, and trust Harrison Butker to kick that extra point. It was just really disappointing the way that the Saints lost last week. It really was, and that is lingering, man. A couple of really bad special, you lost that game on special teams, and you lost throwing a pick 6, and then special teams, you allowed a touchdown, and then there's nothing you can really do about the Falcons in Young Aku kicking, 50, a 58, 57 yard. It was something around there, maybe 54, 55. It was something around there, that field. I mean, there's nothing the Saints can really do there, but that game shouldn't have been close to begin with, so the game shouldn't have came down to that. I don't think the Falcons, I think the Falcons might have scored one offensive touchdown when they were given a really good field position from that muffed punt, right? So it's just so, or I don't know if they scored on that punt or not. I don't remember, but then they had that pick 6. Regardless, it shouldn't have been this way. Falcons offense struggled. Both teams were really sloppy in that game, but the Saints, they found a way to win. No, they found a way to lose. My bad. But the Chiefs, man, their games have been close. Closer than they probably should have. The Ravens game, they're one play away. The Bengals, that was a close game. That was very close. The Falcons were another close game. And then you probably didn't beat the Chargers like you should have, considering how many injured players the Chargers had. And now, the Saints have a lot of injuries as well. But honestly, I'm going to take the better quarterback, and I'm going to take the better coaching, and I'm going to take the better defense. That is who I'm taking in this game. Even though Mahomes may not have the weapons, with so many guys out, Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, Isaiah Pacheco is out. So, the offense is limited, in terms of what weapons Mahomes has to throw to. But at the same time, I am trusting Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and, what the Chiefs got over there to finish the football game if it is a really close football game, which I'm expecting it to be, with the injuries, with everything going on, the Saints playing really sloppy football, and I'm taking the Chiefs to take advantage of some of those very sloppy plays and some of those missed opportunities by the Saints. And Yeah, I think the Chiefs will win this game, but the Saints beating the Chiefs, I mean, it wouldn't shock me. So I'm going to go cool. No, I'm going to go warm because when Patrick Mahomes is on the other sideline, you winning is a little unlikely. If it was any other quarterback, I would probably say cool and say it's, the chance is there. It's very possible, but you have Patrick Mahomes and you have Andy Reid, you have Harrison Butker, some of the most clutch players and coaches in the NFL. I'm taking the Chiefs, and I'm gonna go warm, which means it's a bit unlikely, but there's definitely a possibility there for the Saints to beat the Chiefs. It's gonna be a good game, but it's gonna be a good game. Bafoon. The Vikings make the Super Bowl. So we just talked about the Vikings not too long ago, man. I mean, the Vikings, great defense, great run game, great offensive line. Sam Darnold playing like an MVP candidate. I mean, do the Vikings make the Super Bowl? Let's look at the rest of the NFC. Who are their what's their biggest competition? I think two of their biggest competition is in their division. You got the Packers and you got the Lions. And you played a pretty good game versus the Packers. The second half definitely worried me, especially defensive-wise. I mean, Jordan Love isn't 100%, but Jordan Love and the Packers and, Matt LaFleur, elite head coach, great head coach. He's really good at coming up with game plans. He's put his players in best positions possible. The first half was looking horrible for the Packers and really good for the Vikings. The second half was just flipped, but the Vikings were fortunate to come out with that one, and they were able to put it away. But that game was much closer than it should have been. Sam Darnold throwing 3 touchdowns in the first half. Aaron Jones and the offensive line is great. The run game is there. The weapons are there. The defense is really good. Brian Flores is a defense playing top notch. I mean, the Vikings making the Super Bowl, they continue to play like this all year long. It's very possible, but their biggest competition probably is within their own division. And the Packers, the Lions, then you have, outside of your division, you're probably looking at the Niners as the next team, as another team. Other than that, I don't really see too much competition in the NFC. I think there's about 3 or 4 teams that you could really say are, wow, they're the best teams in the NFC. But I don't, other than that, I think the rest of the NFC is kind of lacking. I mean, the Commanders, we'll see about the Commanders. The Commanders have been hot. They've been looking really good, but you're going to have to continue this all year long. And it's completely different playing red hot football, elite football, very high level football, in the beginning of the season in September and early October. But once you start getting to late October, November, December, that's when football really matters. So let's see if they can do it all year long. Let's see if their team, let's see if they can evolve. Now let's see, the Packers may have put something out there on film for other teams to look at and say, hey, we got to attack this. Now remember, I always say, it's kind of a little thing I throw in there is that just because a team needs to do a certain thing to win the football game or have a chance doesn't mean they can. But you do look at some of the other teams in the NFC, like the Lions, the Packers, for example. We just saw them play them, the Niners. I don't really think there's another team in there that you could say are heavyweights in that conference. I think these 4 teams are heavyweights. But those teams can, and they will do those things that need to be done to beat you. Those teams are very dominant on both sides of the football. Although the Packers were sus on offenses last week and in defense the first half. Everything went back the first half for the Packers. The second half was a complete opposite. Lions have looked good, but their defense struggled. We're allowing a lot of, quite a few explosive plays versus the Seahawks. And, Seahawks, I don't take Geno Smith as a great quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's great. But Geno Smith and that Seahawks offense were so explosive versus the Lions defense. So I'm interested to see how the Lions defense is going to, bounce back after a performance like that. Even though they won, they scored a lot of points, put a lot of points on the board, and Seahawks were really beat up in that game. They ran the football well. The Lions were explosive themselves on offense. But let's not forget how beat up the Seahawks were on defense. They were out like the top 5 out of their 7, front 7 guys. That's huge. That's big. And the Seahawks have a really good defense. We'll be talking about their defense and the Seahawks in a couple minutes here. But the Vikings making the Super Bowl. with how they're looking right now, not going to take it away from them. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, hey, this team has earned that right now to be put in that conversation. Sam Darnold playing elite football, great football, clutch football. This team has just been great. Now, we do have to see how this team is going to respond when the games are closer, too. I mean, it was a closer game against the Packers towards the end. But, and versus the Niners as well. But they're not used to trailing, and they're not used to having to catch up. So if the Vikings start slow, I want to see how Sam Darnold responds then. I want to see how this team responds when they're down 14 points in going into the second half. So they just had a bad first half. Can they rally, and can they, rally from that deficit? I'm interested to see that, because that's always something that's very interesting that goes on throughout the season. When, you see a really dominant football team, 3/4 of the way through the season, and then you see them start getting into some close games, or even some close games throughout the season with some really good football teams when they're down 14 points. They're not as good as a football team because they're not used to being down. They're not used to being in that situation. So we'll see, will the Vikings even be in that situation? The way they're playing right now, it doesn't look like it. They play like they did in the second half versus the Packers. That's what it will be. But, I got to see that as well. I want to see how the Vikings and Sam Darnold perform when they're down, when they're behind by a couple of scores, or they're behind by 10 or 7. Or, I want to see how they respond then. That is a very important aspect to any championship level sports team, football team. But the Vikings making the Super Bowl, I'm going to go warm. I'm going to say it's a little unlikely because the competition you do have is really up there. And what I saw in the second half of that Packers game, looks like there might be something on film now that other teams can watch and look at and be like, hey, let's try to do this and let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can challenge the Vikings here and we can beat them this way. Like I said, it's a completely different story, and knowing what you need to do and being able to need to do it. But the Vikings making the Super Bowl, I'm going to warm say it's a little unlikely, but it's possible. The chance is very small, but it's there. They keep playing the way they are now. They're going to. There's no thing as chance. They're going to. But we'll see if they can continue all season long. But yeah, I'm going warm from this hot take. Good hot take. Had a good time talking about that one. All right, then the SilverSabs. Like I said, we were going to talk about the Seahawks defense a little bit here. And the Seahawks defense finishes as a top 7 defense. So something very important to look into when you're kind of trying to project defenses, offense, or anything of that matter. You want to look at the strength of schedule. You want to look at who they're playing. I think that this Seahawks defense is a top 5, top 3 defense without a doubt when fully healthy. I think overall this may be one of the better defenses in the NFL, truly. Mike McDonald has this defense flying around playing at a really high level. I love this defense. I love what they have at every single level. It's one of my favorite defenses in the NFL. It's great. It's really good. It's just about in that elite category. If not, it's there when fully healthy. The defense line, great. Linebackers, solid. Secondary, great. And then you have a great defensive coordinator and a great head coach behind that. You look at, let's look at their schedule. Giants. Okay, this should be fine in that game, but we'll see. As long as they're healthy, they get a couple of guys back this week, they should be fine regardless. I do think the Giants are an underrated football team. I don't think they're as bad as people think, but the Giants do have a tough schedule, and they have had it really tough. But the Seahawks, the defense should show out against the Giants. It should. Daniel Jones missing a lot of opportunities. The offense just not looking good. Offensive line struggling. Can't really run the football. Daniel Jones and that Giants team will be one-dimensional, and they'll be able to get pressure on Daniel Jones all day long. I mean, you just kind of have to limit. You just have to limit Malik Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson. That's really all you have to do to the Giants, and you kind of win the football game. But the Giants defense is actually very good. They're probably going to get after the quarterback, but topic is not other teams' defenses. It's the Seahawks at the moment. But Niners and Seahawks, that's going to be a tough, defensive battle for them. If they're still injured, and this game's going to be tough. Falcons, that's tough. And, and they got to play the Niners twice, man. They got to play the Niners twice. You have the Bills in there. The Falcons, I think, have a really good offense. Drake London, Pitts, really good run game, really good 1-2 punch with Algier and Bijan Robinson. Kirk Cousins, one of the better QBs in the game, very clutch, and he could put up points. Doesn't matter who the defense is, but can't move, so that definitely makes a difference. That definitely makes it easier on the Seahawks to stop the run, and then, you're going to force Kirk Cousins to beat you. Yes, he could beat you, so it's not one of those quarterbacks that, he can kind of, you can't really go one-dimensional. You can't really love the ball. I mean, you could, but you really got to be careful against the Falcons. Really deadly football team. Their offense is top-notch. Bills, Josh Allen, really good offense. Although they did, struggle versus a really good defense in the Ravens. Mike McDonald's former team as a defensive coordinator. But for, that means he knows the Bills so well because of how many times they played the Bills. So he's gonna know what to do there. You had the Rams. I think they already played the Rams once, did they? No, they don't. They sold the Rams twice. I mean, we'll see how healthy the Rams are, but a healthy Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Puka, Kyron, the offensive line isn't great, but if you give that combination to any team, I mean, they're gonna have a good offense. Matthew Stafford is a great quarterback, awesome quarterback, and you throw him some those weapons that I just mentioned, you get them fully healthy, that offense is gonna be lethal. Niners, once again, after the Rams. And then you play the Jets, Aaron Rodgers. That's a pretty good football team. Garrett Wilson has been very, very disappointing. Really, a lot of the skilled players have really struggled and really let down Rodgers. Rodgers has looked all right. I think he's made a couple really good throws and plays. He's been awesome. I really think Rodgers has been fine. I think it's the playmakers like Garrett Wilson and, Allen Lazard. The playmakers aren't really there. They're not stepping up. Cardinals again, and then you have the Packers and Vikings the next 2 weeks. I mean, the Packers, Jordan Love is going to be fully healthy. We'll see how healthy the team is. That's another thing. How healthy are these teams going to be? How healthy is the Seahawks defense going to be coming into some of these games? That's very important because if you're going to be out, your top 5 out of 7 guys on your front 7, it's going to be a rough go. We saw it versus the Lions. We saw how bad it was. There's only so much you could do. Yeah, it is next man up, but when you have that many injuries, it does hurt. It's very impactful in a negative way. But the Packers, really good offense. Jordan Love, absolutely incredible. Great head coach. Matt LaFleur is elite. He's very elite at putting guys in the right spot. I'm saying elite a lot lately, so I better cool it on that. But and elite is only really reserved for the best of the best, so I really got to watch that. I think I've been using it too much. But Matt LaFleur is a great head coach. Very good at putting those players in the right position, right spots, right times. Really good game plans he brings up. So that'd be a good one. That'd be an interesting Vikings. We'll see how Sam Darnold's looking at this point. Talked about him a lot in this video. Not going to talk about him again. But Vikings, they have a really good offense, man. I'm really, really well rounded. Really good offensive line. Aaron Jones. You have probably the best, number 1 receiver in the NFL, and then you have a really good number 2, one of the best number 2s in the league, if not the best, in Jordan Addison. In the last 2 weeks, you have the Bears and the Rams again. So versus the Bears and the Rams, you should be fine. And you played the Cardinals twice in the mix there. How will Kyler Murray in this offense be? I mean, the Kyler Murray in the offense looks really explosive, really good the first couple weeks, but I mean, lately they've been very sloppy. You really struggle against the Commanders. That was disappointing, and it's really disappointing when when the Cardinals are going up against the Commanders and the matchup favors your offense in such a huge way. You look at the Commanders, Dan Quinn, the head coach, the Commanders are going to be playing a hell of a ton of man coverage. And the Cardinals are built to kill man coverage, yet they looked horrible. Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, these guys should kill man coverage, but they didn't. They couldn't. And, Cardinals offensive line isn't great. This is a team that kind of was playing, pretend in the first couple weeks. Even though they were 1-3, they put up some really good games against some really good teams. Fortunately, they're just, they're pretender and they still didn't have a good record, if that makes sense. They just played some really good teams, put up some really good fights. But the Seahawks finishing as a top 7 defense, man. I mean, talent-wise, when they're fully healthy, this defense is one of the best, if not the best in the NFL. But when you're down 5 out of 7 defense linemen, it's bad. It sucks. It kills. But looking at the schedule, I mean, you play some really good offenses. You play the Niners twice yet. You play the Falcons, the Bills. We'll see how healthy the Rams are. Jets, Packers, Vikings. We'll see what Darnold is looking like at this time, and if they're healthy. That's a big thing in every one of these games. How healthy is opposing offense going to be, and how healthy is the Seahawks defense going to be? But this is a tough one, man. I'm trying to think. Warm, hot, it's not piping. Absolutely not. Talent-wise, it's such a tough defense. It's such a tough offensive schedule they have. Well, you know what? I'm going to go cool. I think that this Seahawks team, talent-wise, this defense is top 3, top 2, it's up there. It's worthy of that. But when you have such a tough schedule and you face this many tough offenses, now you do play a lot of bad offenses and offenses that have a lot of question marks, so that can really help the ranking. But when you're just looking at the rankings itself and projecting, you have to look at the strength of schedule. And the offenses that they're playing are really tough. So I'm going to go cool. No. I'm going to go cold and say it's very likely that they have a top 7 defense, rankings-wise, and, projecting in that kind of way. So, because you do play some bad teams. Play the Bears. You play the Cardinals twice. You play the Giants. Giants, bad offensively, except for probably Malik Neighbors. And Malik Neighbors, Thomas, their left tackle, I can't remember his first name. And then Wan'Dale Robinson. But really, they should be able to finish top 7. They really should be able to. As long as they get healthy. If the Seahawks defense is healthy, I'm going to go cold. If the Seahawks defense continues with the injuries that they have now, I'm going to go hot and say it's very unlikely they have top 7. But the Seahawks do have a really good defense, really talented, coach really well. They're very well coached, very disciplined, always in the right spot at the right time. So I'm going to go cool at healthy and hot and not healthy. But good hot take. Next up, KeyinDaBuilding. Nick Sirianni. I'm assuming they need Nick Sirianni. She is an Eagles fan. They are an Eagles fans. Nick will be the first head coach fired. I mean, the way the team has looked lately, it has not looked good at all. So there are so many decisions that he makes are just like, what are you doing and why are you doing that? Why? What is going on? What are you doing? So Nick Sirianni being fired so early, man, I don't know. Let's take a look at the Eagles' schedule and see, if they have a chance to be winning a couple games here and kind of going a win streak. Sirianni's on the hot seat. That is without question. You got beat up really bad by the Buccaneers. You really got dominated. There was a time in that game where it felt like it was, the Eagles were finding a way to get into this one, but at the end of the day, it really never felt like they were really going to do it. But at one point, it did feel like they were climbing into it and being pesky. The Saints game, you're very fortunate to win that game. You lost to the Falcons. I think the Falcons are just a really good football team. Week 1 versus the Packers, really fortunate to win that football game. The defense really held up. Fangio's defense really saved the day in the beginning of the game. But you look at this football team and you look at the way they're playing. I think they're very undisciplined. They are very unhealthy, so that doesn't help A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. But even when these guys are in there, and Lynn Johnson's been hurt, but Jalen Hurts has not looked good himself, and I don't like a lot of the decisions in coaching that Nick Sirianni has going on here. And the Eagles just paid Jalen Hurts big money, and it's not looking good, man. Hurts has not looked good. Been a turnover machine. I think he has the most turnovers from. I don't remember what point it was last year. Maybe from the beginning of last season. He has the most turnovers in the NFL. He's fumbling a lot. He is fumbling a lot. He's throwing a lot of interceptions. Very questionable decision making from Jalen Hurts. And same thing from the head coach. And you don't do well. When you have a very high expectations and you're really struggling, especially in Philadelphia, it's gonna get loud. It's gonna get loud over there. He's on the hot seat. The seat is getting warm. But then again, you look at the rest of their schedule. They play the Browns. They play the Giants. If you can't beat both of those teams, there's an issue. If you lose to both of those teams, that's wild. If you win one out of the two, okay, whatever. But then you have the Bengals. I don't know if the Jalen Hurts in that offense can keep up with the Bengals. I don't know if the Eagles defense can really slow down Bengals offense either. Eagles defense has been pretty bad. It's like Fangio has, his defense just has not worked so far. Sometimes it takes a while for a defense to really hit their full stride, but at the end of the day, it's looked really bad. Both. They can't get a pass rush. They're, maybe I think Vic Fangio is a very good defensive coordinator. He's very old school in the ways he calls the game. But there's a difference in having a really good head coach or having a good coach, or, a good offensive or defensive coach, knowing what you need to do, knowing what works against this or that. But if you don't have the players that can go and execute them, then it's not going to be done. It's going to look back. It's going to look bad regardless. But I mean, and then you have Jacksonville. Should beat Jacksonville. They look horrible. Browns do too. I think the Giants are a very underrated football team. I think they could give the Eagles and Jalen Hurts hell, that defense. I don't think it would run on them, but they could give the offense hell, dude. That Giants defense is very good. Bengals, I don't think they'll win that game at this point. Bengals have been suspect too. They've been very underwhelming, but they always start slow. A couple weeks, what is this, about week 7? They should, the Bengals should be in full swing, so the Eagles are going to have a hard time there. And the Bengals defense will continue to get better as well. Jaguars, not a good football team, better beat them. Cowboys, I'm not too sure if they can beat the Cowboys, but I think they can beat the Cowboys because of how bad the Cowboys run defense is, and that's all the Eagles want to do. They want to pound the football at Barkley and Hurts, and they could do it. And especially versus bad defense like the Cowboys, the Eagles could have a day against the Cowboys. Commanders looking like the best team in the NFC East right now. And I don't even think it's really close. You can say that the Cowboys have played good football, but they can't stop the run. The Cowboys they've been disappointing. A lot of missed opportunities. They kept the game close. The game versus the Giants was much closer than it should have been. And of course, you play the Cowboys twice. You play the Commanders twice. The Rams should beat the Rams. We'll see how healthy the Rams are. If the Rams are healthy, I don't think this defense is going to be able to stop them. But the Rams' offensive line is pretty bad. Then you play the Ravens. That's probably a loss right there. And the Eagles' run defense has not been good either. That was supposed to be the strength of this defense, is that run defense, and it has not been. It has not been. It's been very bad. The Panthers, you don't beat the Panthers. You have a lot of issues. A lot of issues. Steelers, Jalen Hurts is going to have a heck of a tough day versus Steelers. But we just saw the Steelers run defense versus the Colts and Anthony Richardson. So going up against another mobile quarterback, maybe the Steelers struggle against mobile quarterbacks this year. Maybe that gives the Eagles offensive chance, but the Steelers want to run the heck out of the football too. So are the Eagles going to be able to stop the run? And the Steelers run, the running back room is really beat up versus the Colts. But Jalen Warren back at this point, probably if he's healthy, maybe we'll get injured again. I'll assume that he'll be healthy. He was a very good running back. Justin Fields will present a lot of problems to the Eagles defense. And then of course the Commanders. You play the Commanders, the Cowboys, and the Giants again. So we'll see. I don't think he's gonna get. I don't think he's gonna get fired this season. I don't even know if he'll be fired in the offseason, to be honest with you. And now, if the Eagles finish with a really bad record and say 5 or 6 wins, I could see the voices in the seat getting real hot. I mean, it really depends on who he loses to too. If you lose to the Jaguars, Browns, and Giants within the next 4 weeks, then I can see him being out the door that early. I don't think they lose to those teams though. Maybe towards the end of the season I could see him going. But I think Nick Sirianni is going to get another year. Regardless of what. I mean, unless they lose out or lose every game but 2 or 3, then I can see him going in the offseason. But I think the Eagles will win a couple more games. I think they'll win a bit more games. Will they be right around 500? That's where I probably have the Eagles being. Right around 500. Probably maybe a little bit below that. But I don't think Sirianni's in. On that note, I don't think Sirianni is going to be fired yet. I think he's going to have another season. Because Sirianni did have some really good seasons coaching. A couple of awesome seasons. I think there's problems going on with him and Jalen Hurts. I don't think Jalen Hurts trusts Nick Sirianni. I don't think Nick Sirianni is getting along with him well. That's an issue when your superstar. Well, was superstar quarterback. Hurts has looked like dog crap. And, you know, I never really thought Hurts was a great quarterback to begin with, to be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. For quite a while, a lot of Eagles fans will tell you I have not been a Hurts fan. You know, I like Hurts. I think he's all right. But I don't think he's a great quarterback. I never really thought he was. Never really thought he was. So, but Nick Sirianni being fired, I'm going to go hot and say it's a bit unlikely that it's unlikely he'll be fired. You know, he has built up a really good resume before this year. So I think he'll get another opportunity next year, see what he's got. And then if the Eagles have another bad year, you know, we'll see how they look on paper and all this and that, and how undisciplined and how just bad the team looks. There are too many, you know, things you have to look into, and you really don't know what's going to happen. But, you know, if they get healthy, you know, they'll probably get healthier as the season goes on. But, you know, A.J. Brown, I don't expect him to be great at any time this season. When you have a hamstring like that, typically that sticks with you throughout the entire season, and you just aren't the player you usually are. So A.J. Brown season is probably not going to be a usual A.J. Brown season. And then, of course, you have Smith being the leading receiver. You know, I think Smith is a very good receiver. Being number one, we'll see if he can handle that. All the pressure being on him, all the eyes being on him. Teams will focus on stopping him more because other than Dallas Goedert, there's not really anyone else in the passing. I mean, Saquon Barkley's a threat in the passing game, but I mean just like receiver wise, like who else is going to step up receiver wise? I'm not sure. But Nick Sirianni being fired, the first head coach fired this year, I'm gonna go hot. I would maybe even go piping hot and saying no, absolutely not. But I'm gonna go hot and say it's very unlikely. But I mean, the way this team has looked, if they lose the next 4 games, I could see it. Honestly. I can see them losing. You know, I can't really see them losing against the Browns, Jaguars. I see the Giants having a shot to beat the Eagles, a really good shot too. And the Bengals, you know, probably forget it at that point. We'll see how the team looks by then, but how healthy they are. But, you know, a big problem with this Eagles defense mainly is that they cannot get pressure. There is no edge presence. And that means that any quarterback can sit there and just be very comfortable throwing the football. When you have some good quarterbacks and you let them be comfortable back in the pocket, they're gonna carve you alive. They're gonna carve you to death, man. But yeah, I'm gonna go hot. Maybe teeter-tottering on piping hot, because I think this team is talented and they'll win quite a few games on the stretch. They should, anyways. If they don't, then yeah, I could see them being the first one higher, but I don't see them losing, you know, that many games on the stretch. I don't see them being that disappointing. So, hot, teeter-tottering on piping hot. But yeah, there's Hot Take Tuesday. I think that is it. Yep, that is it. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Had a good time talking to the football. I'm sorry that it kind of has to be on Wednesdays on Wednesday afternoons now. Hot Take Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Should be on Tuesday nights or, you know, on Tuesday, but it's just not going to work out like that. I might be able to get it back on Tuesday nights. It's going to be tough because I already have a lot to do on Tuesdays, but I can see if I could try to do it. If I could cram it into Tuesdays, I will definitely try. No promises, but yeah, make sure you join that Discord server, join the community, become a subscriber, like, put that post on. I really struggle with talking in this video. I feel like I've been better with that. With this video, I've been very bad talking for a long period of time too. But no excuses. But good episode this week. Heading for 50 minutes. Really good episode. Had a lot of stuff to go through. So thank you guys for participating. Thank you for watching. I had a good time here today. So you guys let me know what you think about these hot takes. Give me your ratings in the comment section below. What's likely? What's more? You know what? Maybe we'll start a new segment. Maybe we'll like rank these at the end of Hot Take Tuesday, and we'll have the ones that are most likely to happen, least likely. That could be a fun and interesting way to do it. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in to the JDW Sports Talk Show. Make sure you like, subscribe, put the post notification bell on, become a member. You know, you'll be entered into giveaways automatically, and you get a shout out almost every video. Marshman Gunner, I appreciate you, man. Our lone member of the channel. He's been here for over a year, so let's go, Marsh. But That's all I got for you guys today. It's the JDW Sports Talk Show. Signing off.